Once the in the other room.
Okay,
We're very
great.
close.
Good.
I didn't get to click.
I know, you can click the button if you want to click the button.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You have the power.
What
happened when she did that?
Oh.
Thanks for letting me appear remotely.
Well, I'm glad you're able to join us for the first half hour. That's great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I should be able to stay on until about 6:40, I think. So yeah.
All right, well then let's get going.
Yes, yeah.
Wanted to raise a question.
Yeah.
So I think this week I'm due to be the host, but
Right.
the majority of the items here are mostly for you to start talking about. So I wanted to offer to take notes and switch if you would like to do that instead of me just being like, all right, next, Greg, please.
No, take the, okay, I don't have it in front of me, the agenda. So.
I'm
Oh,
happy
I have it.
I'm happy to
Here you
carry this
go.
along that way.
Okay, great.
I actually
There we go.
prepared for the meeting.
Yeah, I've got the agenda here too, so I'm happy to do both, however you want to do it.
No, but I think you're taking notes when I'm talking would be great.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, we can just switch roles next time
Okay.
around. So, it is 6:04, 6:05, call the meeting to order. And it doesn't look as though we have any public participating, so no comments. So we can move on to the approval of the minutes from the March meeting. Any suggestions, revisions?
None, I actually looked at them.
Okay, good.
I looked at him, but I wasn't here.
Okay,
For
so
the
you
first
can't,
meeting, so I
and
will-
I had looked at them before and gave my okay. Did you have a chance to take a look at them, Dan?
I did, yeah, everything looked good, so.
Okay, good. So, anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
I
Second?
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. So thank you very much. Time for a member check-in.
I'll start. I had a
Okay.
very interesting conversation this morning with the other director of the community garden
Uh-huh.
yesterday, talking about, we just bought a gas mower and a gas weed whacker. I said, be nice if next time we get ready and we're prepared to get electric.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah, I have them at home. I just love the whole idea. We just don't have any electricity in the shed. So there's nowhere to charge. So we're going to work on, over the course of the next year or so, we have some time now, since we don't need, to find out how to get the city to get electricity to the shed.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So I don't know what that's going to entail, or if they'll just bulk, or if they'll say, yeah, you can use electric.
There should be wiring down there because there was that
There
house
is
that was there.
not wiring now.
Really? They took
Nothing.
it all?
It's on, if it was ever there, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that house had to use something.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's electricity over at the ballpark
yeah.
for the restroom, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not that far away.
No.
Yeah.
Run an aerial line over there, maybe keep it simple.
What would that cost?
Yeah.
No idea. Don't even know who to talk to.
Right.
Any ideas who to talk to, Dan?
Suppose PG&E.
Yeah, I'm not sure, actually.
You know, I would talk to Public Works folks. I talked with Eric Lays yesterday.
Oh, good. He didn't return my phone call.
Oh. I guess you just have to talk to him, contact him regularly. Give it a try again and see. And there was a guy named Jeff Randall who was
Yeah.
at a meeting that I was with
Right.
yesterday. And
He
he was
was
really, yeah.
He's on transportation,
Oh, he's in transportation. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
head of transportation in Public Works.
In Public Works.
Yeah,
I guess try Eric again. Give him a call.
we'll see. Yeah, anyway, that's my check-in.
Good.
This is a long-term project, but it sounds good.
Good.
Yeah,
Who's next?
you are.
Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that Rachel and I are doing right now is taking the Oregon Marine Master Naturalist training out at the coast. It's like 4-week, mostly learn about whales and other marine mammals. So that's been fun.
Yeah.
A lot to learn there.
Yeah. Have you seen a lot of whales?
We've only seen gray whales and orca out
Uh-huh.
there. Hoping to have a chance to see more. Evidently, if you go out on the boats, you can see blue whales and
Uh-huh.
there's some other, other whales that are a little less common out there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we see from shore. It's a little less intrusive to them.
Mhm.
But that's been fun. Otherwise, just mentioned I went to the eclipse. I don't think Dan was online yet, but I recommend solar eclipses to anyone who has the ability to see them. As much
Yeah.
as they can. Been like spreading the good word at work, and
Right.
it was quite an experience, and
Cool.
look forward to the next one.
Neat.
Otherwise, just I rode my bike here.
Good
It's a
boy.
Oh, yeah.
very hilly city.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting up that hill. Ooh.
Yeah, even with
What part of town are you in?
down in Bolton,
Yeah.
All the way, the whole hill.
Yeah.
pretty much the lowest and the highest you can get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
have an e-bike, so that helped
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
all right.
Cool.
and the garden is getting going.
Yeah.
I have to rebuild my beds this year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cedar only lasts so long. I got 7 years out of the old ones, though.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Hey,
Yeah, all is good with me and my crew. And we did a big trip over spring break. We did like Disneyland, which was fun for the kids. It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. And then, the part I was really looking forward to was, we rented a camper van and went to Joshua Tree and
Oh,
stayed a couple
nice.
nights there. And I had never been there, but it's always just sort of been a place I'd like to
Yeah.
go.
Right.
And we stayed at an awesome campground.
Which one?
It was called Jumbo Rocks.
Mhm.
And it has jumbo rocks, and the kids just climbed and
Uh-huh.
played and
Ah.
hiked, and it was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
took them to Grand Canyon too, and then
What?
Wow.
You know, this is-
Yeah.
In a week?
we took an extra week actually.
Okay.
We did a little extra, and then I'm from Arizona, so I spent some time with helping my parents with some health stuff.
So you were
we
South Rim.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So and then our garden is getting going, and looks like we have a lot of flowers on our blueberries this year, which I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's really
we
good.
do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a
Like,
lot on the
yeah,
blueberries.
so I'm excited about that. We had some kind of fungus or something on our, we got a little dwarf peach a couple years ago, and we've got one peach out of it so far. And it's got a fungus this year, so we were like dealing with,
Neem oil can help.
we were doing, we basically like picked off all the leaves that had so it was like, and by we, I mean my wife, so I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
this time, so we'll get
We the
collective
administration.
we, the administration of this household, yes, that's right. Yeah, so we're looking forward to getting some stuff planted. We've got some stuff coming up and a nice strawberry bed. And
Nice.
actually, we got some raspberries that we got from someone else last year, just like,
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
and they look
Nice.
like they're gonna take and live. So we've got all kinds of fruit, which is really fun for the kids.
Dan.
Yeah, I love hearing what y'all are doing. Let's see, Victoria would know this. I headed to 2 hours at the community garden. We all, do a work party typically in the spring and the fall, just to, get the walkways cleaned and, weeded and stuff like that. But this year, unfortunately, with the all the construction going on, we all are kind of doing it separately or individually. So I did that a couple weeks ago, and actually it felt really good to get back out there. I must say I felt very out of shape from the winter. I'm a bit of a kind of like a grizzly bear. I just hibernate in the winter, so my back muscles were feeling it. But so that was kind of fun getting out there. I've been actually prepping my raised beds in my backyard at home. However, I haven't really done much in my community garden. As Victoria knows, we're struggling with water issues, getting hooked up and all of that. So, but that's certainly on my agenda next couple weeks, kind of get that cleaned up. Also, I think I told you all I had gone backpacking with my brother in Zion National Park last fall. And one of the things I noticed was we had gone through one section that was open to cattle grazing. And I was really blown away at the level of impact that cattle have on the land there, particularly where I was at, especially like in the riparian area. And that, that would be free range cattle, right? And I know myself and friends and stuff, we always, try to buy free range beef, thinking that's kind of a better thing to do. And you know, generally I think it is definitely, but, anyways, it's kind of that experience, you know, kind of inspired me to try to think about, hunting in the future, like for my own meat source, you know, like once a year in the fall to go deer hunting or elk hunting. And so anyways, a couple of friends of mine at work are into hunting, and so they invited me out a couple times, and I just signed up for a hunting course through you know, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and so I'll be doing that over the next couple months. So I'm pretty excited about that, and so I'll get my license and, you know, this training course, and then in the fall, I'll go out with two friends of mine at work and try to, you know, get a deer and just try to eat that primarily rather than, you know, cattle that you buy from the grocery store. So I think, you know, that makes, in a small way, that might make an impact, you know, at least for me and my family. So, yeah. Other than that, just staying busy with work and the family and all of that. So it's good to see everybody.
Yes.
Nice to see you. Good. My wife and I went down to Silver Creek Falls State Park, just south of Silverton. We could go and just spent a night in the cabin, and we go down there almost every spring about this time and just kind of walk around and see the falls. But if you have a chance, if you have never been there, it is just utterly extraordinary. And there are like almost a dozen falls within like three or four square miles, and it's just astounding.
It's
So that was fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really
Great
nice.
park.
And there are beginning to be a lot of wildflowers out now, so it's worth a trip. And then garden wise, have lettuce that's gigantic in the cold frame. And so I don't think we're going to be able to possibly eat
My
all
slugs
of
have
it.
eaten mine twice down to this.
Yeah, they're
In
kind
the
of going
cold
after
frame.
my broccoli, but we save all our eggshells, and so I just really covered the ground with eggshells around the.
Okay.
Yeah, so give that a try and see like whether it might work anyway. But it's at least a kind of a non-toxic way.
Do you know if you put the eggshells in the microwave until they start to stink, and turn a little brown, but then they decompose faster?
Oh, do they? Because we put them in the oven and let them heat up there, but I've never put them in the microwave, but I can imagine that having an impact. And then we've had some spots that needed new roses and new Oregon grape, and so I transplanted stuff, and I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
The transplantation will take. It's always chancy when I do that. So the Oregon grape, the new growth was all kind of drooping.
Good times.
I'm hoping I'll keep them watered and say good things to them. Say, Oregon grape, keep on. The roses so far look okay. So let's hope that stays.
Mahonia. Did you know?
Mahonia, oh, that's right. Yeah,
Right.
Mahonia is what it. Yeah,
It's
good.
that's why the governor's house in Salem is called Mahonia
Yeah,
Lodge, because that's
Yeah.
their state flower.
right.
I didn't know that.
So I suggest we begin with the tree code and goal 5 conversations, and I'll actually just share something really brief at the moment. I had a meeting with Rory and Mary Baumgartner this morning, talking about this issue and the fact that we learned, well, from Dan's brother, as well as from Mark Gamba and the planning director in Milwaukee, that a change in the tree code like what we're anticipating does not trigger a goal 5 review. And so Mary and Rory are going to try to move it up on the docket and see whether that can be done in the next year or so.
Okay.
So that is encouraging news. They're both kind of excited about doing it. I think the main issue is to avoid what are called takings, where regulations prevent somebody from developing land that would allow them to kind of receive the kinds of profits that they think they deserve. But the tree code in Milwaukee really seems reasonable. It allows for exceptions, and people can kind of buy their way out if they want to, but they have to pay not sizable fees, but fees that are significant, or else engage in mitigation activities. And so I think that there are ways that Milwaukee kind of works around it, so it didn't trigger
Okay.
that whole issue. And so it looks like we can do the same thing.
Oh, that's very
So
good.
Great.
I'll turn it over to Dan. Whatever else you have to say that we could potentially feed into the city council too.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Greg. And yeah, like Greg mentioned, I spoke to my brother as well. He is a director of a planning department, so obviously has a lot of experience as well. And he reiterated what, the folks that Greg talked with as well, that, adjusting a tree code or making changes, typically would not trigger the goal 5. But really, I believe, I was asked or tasked with just kind of looking into goal 5 a little bit. I know when we presented to the council, somebody had said to us, like, what is goal 5? And I think we were all a little stumped by it, myself included. So what I did, if you guys don't mind, it'll take like 3 or 4 minutes, but I wanted to share a few PowerPoint slides to kind of educate us on that. Is that okay if I do that?
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll come
let's-
up. I don't
Yeah,
see
let's
any-
see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to grant him permission.
Oh, it did. Let's see.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
there.
And let me switch into slide mode here.
Okay.
Victoria, I think if that's the mouse, you may have to clear away that little window there.
Okay.
You hit the X.
That's mine.
Wait. This one is,
There we go.
that one?
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that one.
Okay.
And
Can
that
you
one.
guys see the full slide?
Yes.
We can see
We
your
got
whole
it.
screen.
Oh, good, perfect. All right. Does it say goal 5 on it, or are you looking at my desktop?
We see
You
your
just see your
desktop.
desktop.
Oh, that's what I was afraid of. Let me switch here. 1 sec. Shoot. It's always a little tricky doing this. I might have to. Let's see. Well, you know what? I guess we don't have to necessarily be.
There it is.
There it is.
We got it.
Okay, perfect. Goal 5 here, it is, when you say like, what is goal 5? It's part of what we call OAR's, Oregon Administrative Rules, and it's a subsection. So subsection 5 is entitled Natural Resources, Scenic and Historic Areas and Open Places. So it's an effort by the state to protect these things, natural resources, historic areas, etc. So let's see, switch here.
I have been wondering.
Yeah, and I know, right? So I wanted to real quick explain that it's just, Oregon's statewide planning concept. So it's very unique. Oregon is very unique. It's either the only state or one of the only states that has this statewide planning concept. So in most states throughout the country, land use planning is done on the local or, city or county level. But here in Oregon, decades ago, there was a decision
On the
here to.
call.
Yes, Tom McCall, yes. He promoted this idea of statewide planning where there's a cohesiveness, right, between counties. And it's really an overall effort to, protect natural resources that are limited, obviously, throughout the state. So it's really established under this Oregon Revised Statute 197. This idea of comprehensive land use planning, implementation, and enforcement are a statewide concern. So this is kind of like a mission statement, right? That, hey, in Oregon, we're saying land use is a statewide concern, and that's really unique. And the Oregon legislature, in order to basically, enforce and promote this idea, they created a department or an agency called Land Conservation and Development Department. And it's called DLCD for short. You always have to have a state act or, an acronym for something. And anyways, but it says state agency responsible, for, like I said, for administering this statewide land use program. And they also support local jurisdictions such as municipalities and counties with implementation on the ground. And what's kind of cool is that this agency is guided by this commission, Land Conservation and Development Commission, LCDC, and those members are there. It has to be select number of members throughout, from each county. They're appointed by the governor. So, that's basically they're set up to advise this agency, which in turn advises local governments. So now talking specifically about Goal 5. So when Oregon's statewide land use planning program was created, Goal 5 required that local governments adopt programs to protect natural resources and conserve, scenic, and what I think is kind of cool too is historic places and open spaces or resources. So as you can see there, it just says, that's the specific goal of Goal 5 is to protect these limited resources. And then they, in the Oregon Administrative Rule, they list out these specific resources. So you can see for yourself, natural areas, historic areas, etc. So it's specifically laid out in this Oregon Administrative Rule. And then, we were talking about, when I was tasked with this, about, what triggers this Goal 5 review, and would the tree code do that? Really, Goal 5 review is this ESEE analysis. So, what that is a local government must analyze, and what ESEE stands for is economic, social, environmental, and energy consequences that could result from a decision, basically to allow what the statute calls a conflicting use. So here's some definitions. What is an ESEE consequence? This is an official definition. They are the positive and negative ESEE consequences that could result from a decision to allow, limit, or prohibit. And what's the key word here is a conflicting use, right? So, and then a definition of what is a conflicting use. So the administrative rule defines that here as conflicting use is land use or other activity that reasonably and customarily subject the land use to land use regulations. And this is what's key, that could adversely affect a significant Goal 5 resource, right? So it would be something that, the local government would need to do this analysis. If it was something like, let's say they're going to build a parking lot right next to a wetland or something like that. So, long story short is, I don't think, the folks I talked to that, changing the tree code it's really not a conflicting use, right? It actually promotes, I would say it promotes Goal 5. So, so that's the good news. So I don't think, it's anything we need to be concerned with, fortunately. So that's it. Let me try to stop sharing.
That's really useful, Dan. Just
Yeah.
the entire picture.
Okay.
And to see like what Goal 5 actually is aimed at protecting, right? And that the issue of the review is kind of tied into adverse effects on those Goal 5 resources.
Yeah, exactly.
Much of what we heard from staff and council was kind of the other way around. Like they worried that Goal 5 entailed a protection of developers, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's really the opposite, right? Like it's Goal 5 is that statewide, statement of like, hey, we want these resources protected, historic and natural, and if there's some kind of proposed conflicting use, then hey, local municipality, you need to do an analysis. So, so yeah, I think we're all good on the tree code.
Thanks. So, our getting
Interesting.
informed is very helpful.
Yeah.
To say.
Well done. Good job on the homework, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just seems like ironic that we'd even worry about goal 5 when we're trying to protect trees from developers.
Yeah, I mean, I
It
think
doesn't
we're
sound
actually,
as though,
we're doing exactly
like,
what
tree
goal
canopy
5
is even like, kind of among the resources listed. It should be listed, but it's not among them. Did you have anything that you could report on, quiet Portland and just leaf blowers?
Yeah, well, not a whole lot. I finally have I've been passed around by a couple people as far as talk to so-and-so about it. What I'm trying to do is, secure somebody to give a presentation to us to kind of educate us on what they're doing. If you all recall that, there's other, local municipalities that are, having the same concerns that we are, primarily with noise pollution, but also air pollution, with, gas powered blowers. But I do, I think I have finally the right person to talk to. So I'm setting that up with them. And I'm also, I should have some materials I'll bring to the Earth Day booth on, is that Saturday? I forget which day.
27th, yeah, week from
Yeah,
Saturday, yeah.
27th. Okay, yeah, so I'll bring some of their materials there to share with folks, when they come. Just, if you recall, one of my talks, a couple months ago, it's, really a lot of it's, education for, our local constituents and such. So I'm working on getting those materials and trying to get somebody to give us a presentation, really just so we're educated. So that allows us to communicate better with both city council and, folks in the community as well. So.
When I was speaking with Mary this morning, and Rory, she, asked about like what was happening with the leaf blower thing, over and beyond the resolution with regard to the city. And I said that, Dan was doing investigations about it. And I also said, I asked like, well, wouldn't it be helpful if we were to basically kind of craft an outline of the major issues that needed to be taken into consideration when writing a regulation with regard to leaf blowers? And she said, yes. So I think my sense, it sounds like we've got somebody from the Energy Department who's going to be meeting with us in May. If it might be possible to invite whoever you are able to speak with, Dan, to come to our June meeting. And
Okay.
really think of that as an opportunity to kind of pick that person's brain about the central things that we ought to be taking a look at in terms of making a presentation to the city council, and then look to, by the beginning of the fall, have something ready that we could actually give to the city council.
Actually,
Yeah.
love it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Love it.
I can't
So,
imagine them saying, "Oh, please don't do that work."
No. But it seems like it's a good job for us to basically kind of give them an outline to work from. And also like whatever additional information in terms of citations or
Appreciate
web resources that they might want to check out. So does that seem like something that would be reasonable to try to do for June then?
Yeah, definitely. I will work on that. And I'm also happy to work on the outline, collaborating with everybody, but I can be kind of the point person on that for the fall as well. So.
Yeah, excellent. So
Great.
that's great. Good. Anything else that you want to share before beaming out?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think I'm that was about it. So yeah, ideally I would like to log off so I can get to my medical appointment. So
Good. Well, good luck with the procedure, whatever is happening.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
Definitely.
thank you
All
for
right,
joining
well-
us in this way and for that report. That was really excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great,
Really
awesome. All right.
value it.
Take care,
Thanks,
everybody.
Dan.
Bye, Dan.
Take care.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Good. And just to catch you up, Lou, Dan made a presentation on Goal 5 and what it actually stipulates and its potential impact, like whether or not a revision of the tree code would trigger a Goal 5 review. And I think what Dan realized in looking at the documentation that he presented to us and that he learned from his brother, who is a city planner, and that I learned from Mark Gamba when he was mayor of Milwaukee and Milwaukee's current planner, their tree code did not lead to a Goal 5 review. And I met with Mary and Rory this morning, and so they're going to do what they can, working with the council to see whether we can get a tree code revision further up on the city council docket. So that's pretty much what we've talked about to this point.
Well, thank you for catching me up. By the way, I was trying to get on the YouTube and that never turned on, so started looking for another way to get to the meeting.
I think Kathy said that there was some issue with the YouTube link
Oh,
for this meeting.
Yeah.
okay, that
Yeah.
could be it, yes,
She did say
as
that.
well, yeah. So,
Okay, but thank you.
good. I have a couple of reports. One on the Earth Day event that's scheduled for Saturday, April 27th at the Ale and Cider House. There are approximately 20 different groups who will be there, about 10 small businesses that a charity had been able to locate. And so all of them are engaged in products that have some kind of relationship to the environment or are sustainably made. And then about 10 organizations, nonprofits, who will be presenting and just have tables as well. And so Victoria and I met with Charity on Sunday just to kind of look at the site and kind of come up with an organizational plan. And so we'll be meeting at 1 o'clock to kind of help people set up. Charity's taking care of all of the contacts with folks and informing them what they need to do. So it looks like it'll be another kind of fun event.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great space
yeah,
with big picnic tables in the back and running water, and it's lovely.
yeah. So
I mean,
with luck,
water
the weather will be good, and you know, some people potentially out front, but but a nice group. Saul will be there. The Westland Garden Club will be there. The Down to Earth Forest School will be there. So a nice community gardens, et cetera. So it'll be a nice group, and I think it'll be a fun thing to do.
So I'm gonna be gone, but do you need any help distributing information about it, like getting the word out, or do you have?
Got
Yeah,
flyers that are
I have
around town.
You know, I'll
Yeah.
send you the copy of the flyers if you want to make copies of them
Yeah.
yourself. You had some, Mike. Were you able to distribute them
I
anywhere?
got one or two up.
One or two up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that I put them up in the park. There's one. Well, several at the Ale and Cider House, one by Bellagio's Pizza. I pretty much only put them up in places where there were already signs. But did you have a chance to put any up as well?
I did. Safeway only keeps them, they take everything down on Monday and start with a clear board on Monday. So you can't put anything up long-term, but I got it up for one weekend.
Good.
The woman down at Market of Choice recognized me and said, "Oh, sure, I'll just make room for this."
Uh-huh.
And
Great.
the librarian was fine. She said, "We have to okay this."
Right,
2 schools set up, got to run it by administration.
right.
Best hit was the Adult Community Center, and the woman who runs that said, "Oh, yeah, I've got a business down across from the outside. I'll just take this and I'll make some copies and run it, put it up all over it."
Great,
So-
great.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that was the best hit.
Yeah.
Has it been up on the Westland community page, you know?
It is on the Westland community page, right?
Yeah, it went
Yeah,
up
yeah. The
yesterday.
whole flyer is up there.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And it has been on the calendar earlier than that, but the flyer is up now. So hopefully in the next week and a half.
It would have been
people will
nice
see
2
that,
weeks in
yeah.
a row on that.
Yeah.
To make sure we're talking about the same
It's
thing,
really dark under.
you're talking about the Facebook
I am,
group, right?
yeah.
Oh,
I'll check on that. I don't think I've seen it there.
oh,
Yeah.
Facebook page? Oh, yeah. If you could put it on the Facebook page, that would be great.
Do you have the file?
Yeah, because,
Do you have the
yeah,
file?
I do have a file.
Okay,
Yeah,
Send-
send it to me too, and we
Okay.
can, and then when I see you post it, I will comment and like it.
Way to do that. I'll get my wife to do that too.
All your
Yeah.
cousins have them.
And it like, you just, there's a thing to it.
Oh, my
Well,
God.
you know, and does anybody go up on that neighborhood site That would be another
Mm,
one.
no, just-
Next door, yeah.
I don't have.
Just a lost dog.
up there.
Yeah.
I'll
I
try to
that
put it up on next door too.
Nuts.
I know.
On next door, yeah, it is pretty, I don't.
People, oh my God. I suppose you have to deal with them all the time, Lou.
So Lou, do you have any suggestions on like where a flyer might go up?
The ones you mentioned, seem right. Trying to think else. Walmart, perhaps, do they have a board?
Oh, that's a good idea.
They might have a board, but they're remodeling, so it might not be up
Oh,
at the
might
moment.
not be good, yeah.
I end up there every week or two, but I can make a trip over
Oh,
there.
yeah, just see like whether it's
Yeah.
there. I had gotten in touch with Holly Bartholomew at the paper to see whether she would put it in the newspaper, but it hasn't turned up. And I did that like 3 weeks ago, and I've been watching for it. She did publish, that flyer when we had the film showing, but this is the second year that I've asked her to do that, and she hasn't. But I will keep on trying, and next time, give her a call.
Yeah.
Good. So that's basically all I have to report from that.
Can I
Yes,
ask you a quick question? Is there gonna be kid-friendly stuff?
there will be kid-friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was thinking I can put it out there to some, just,
Some families, yeah.
Are we talking like activities or?
yeah,
don't-
just what,
Well, I'm going to go over to the, Crest is doing a similar event this coming
oh, yeah.
Saturday. And so I'm going to go there for SAB, and I ordered a coloring book with different pictures of sustainability activities in a
Yeah.
community. And so I thought I'd just bring colors, crayons and colored pencils for
Yeah,
people to do something like
Is,
that.
I can
Not
ask
super
Heidi
exciting
too
stuff.
at the forest school if she was planning on bringing anything kid-friendly.
Yeah,
Do you have a small, low-down table?
And,
I don't have one, but if you've got one,
No, I don't, but I've
Yeah.
seen that work.
right.
I was about to say, I have like a camping table that I won't be here, but I can loan it to you.
You
Just
can
one
loan
that
the leg-
like you can keep the legs low. But I
Uh-huh.
don't know that we have small chairs anymore.
Meh,
Yeah.
knee pads.
They stand,
They
yeah.
can kneel on the
Right.
floor.
So if you could get that little table to Victoria, because she's close to where you are, I think, over in Sunset, then, that's, or to whoever
I
is
can,
close.
yeah, I mean, I'm just right up over there with
Okay,
Brazilian,
great,
so
yeah.
it's easy to get.
Easy
I
way.
drive children around all the time.
Okay, so
Fine.
you could
So
bring
I
it to
could
my
find
house.
someone to
Yeah,
make something too
Good,
in the next few days.
okay, great,
So that would work. I can.
good.
Um,
And if you have any suggestions of other things,
Well, I mean, I'll ask Heidi
okay,
if she was going to do anything kid-friendly because she's
okay, good.
very engaging.
Yes,
And then
she
is
is.
the library going to be there?
The library is not going to be
Yeah.
there. I didn't ask anybody from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So we'll see how this goes again, but it was
Okay.
a friendly event last year, and we had probably about 60 people come through, I would
Yeah.
think. Would you say about 60?
It's been a year, so having trouble remembering exactly, but that's not a bad
I
guess.
don't care.
Right, 50, there were,
Yeah.
people were coming through for 3 hours, never a heavy amount,
Yep.
but at least some folks, so that was good. Then Kate is going to check with the Transportation Advisory Board,
Yeah.
and we can kind of look at how that goes. And then, with regard to energy weatherization grants, Mike, do you want to talk about the guy that you had contacted from the Energy Department?
All I really have is a name.
Okay,
I reached out to the Oregon Department of Energy. They have a website that basically talks about their grants, and there's
Uh-huh.
a contact listed there. I reached out to that contact, and somebody named Roger Kainu got back to me and said, hey, I'm totally willing to talk to you guys. Just give me a date and time, and I'll put it on the calendar. So I told him, we might look at April, we might look at May. But I suggested that May be the date that he come to us, and he said, great, no problem. Send me a
Good.
link, and I'll be there.
great.
If you want to let me know ahead of time, like what kinds of things specifically you're interested in, that could be helpful as well, so he can kind of like target his preparation.
Right,
So maybe that's one of the like ARs for us, is to just think through like what specifically we are wanting this person to talk to us about,
right.
beyond just general like, so grants, like
AR?
action required.
Okay.
Sorry, I work in corporate America.
Yeah. Sorry,
You give
I've
people
been
an
told
AR.
before, it's just like, I want to hear it.
Action required. But it's on my Word document all over the place here.
So I would think that what would be really helpful for us would be like knowing which of the grants are most likely to be available to people in a community like West Lynn. I have a feeling that for lower income, like the grants are largely aimed at lower income families.
Yeah.
But there are lower income families in West Lynn, and there are a lot of retired people in West Lynn whose incomes would probably get them to the level where they would actually match the requirements for the grants. And so I think knowing like which of the grants are most likely to be available to folks here and what they're for, and what kinds of dollars we're looking at. I know that with one of the grants that the state has, if your lower income is $14,000 max, and if you are kind of, I think 150% of the minimum income, like poverty level, you are eligible for like half of the 14,000. And then there are other grants that are a little bit more flexible. So knowing what the grants are, how to apply them, and where to get answers to questions. And I think seeing like whether there's anybody from the Energy Department who would be willing, and if we were to publicize it well, do a presentation at the library where we might be able to, you know, attract 40 or 50 people. And maybe make it a hybrid event as well, so people would be able, or at least record it and then put it up on the website for the SAB.
Yeah, make that attract attention.
Yeah, yeah. So that for me would be the questions to ask is communication, what's out there, and which people are most likely going to be if the grants will be available to. Do you have other suggestions?
It sounds like some sort of community profile might be helpful for this person so that he has a sense for like demographically what West Lynn looks like.
You know, there's a wonderful community profile in the kind of emergency preparedness document that Dylan had up, that he had developed a month or so ago.
Okay.
And so I think I sent you the links to that in preparation for our last meeting. But I'll find it again and send it to you, Mike, and then you could send that to them or to this person and find the page that had the demographic information. It was really a very helpful document in terms of kind of looking at the demographics.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just, you know, other general information about West Lynn. So that was good. So, Lou, just to catch you up on this, we wanted to try to make available to the public information about incentives and rebates that are available for weatherization and heat pumps. And so we thought that if we brought in somebody from the Energy Department to be able to kind of provide that information to the public, it might lead to more people in West Lynn taking advantage of it.
Okay.
Moving on, with regard to the Resilience Hub grants, we had talked last month about my getting in touch with the folks at the food pantry and the Methodist Church just to let them know about the grant, to be able to kind of take advantage of it. And so I let the woman who's the chairperson of the board of the food pantry know about it. And she said, really? We've been wanting to get generators so that like our refrigerators and freezers don't, you know,
Don't go out when the
power goes out.
Yeah.
And so she took it to their board and they said, for sure, write a grant. So they've written a grant for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was very so we have, you know, new generators potentially, like at the food pantry. And it seems like it's a really perfect location to do that in. So,
yeah, it's right in the middle of that whole part of town.
Right. And it is clearly serving retired people and lower income folks who were really
Checked all
struggling.
those boxes.
So exactly the population that those grants were kind of designed for.
That's,
Great.
that's fabulous.
So a little piece of good news there.
That was awesome.
That was great. I was very happy to get that report back. And we had the report from Dan about leaf blowers, which we'll be working on during the summer. With regard to the resolution regarding the transition to electricity-powered appliances, furnaces, and equipment, I had a meeting yesterday with Jeff Randall and with Eric Lace about this, because they're the ones, Dylan had said that they'd raised serious concerns about whether or not this resolution should go forward. So I figured, rather than simply waiting to the meeting on the 14th with the city council, I should chat with them and just kind of see like what they were concerned about. And when we talked about it, and they realized that we had kind of introduced the change in language that we had with regard to technologically appropriate and cost effective, and that what we were primarily interested in doing is kind of setting a kind of intention for the city to move forward in this direction, they were fine with it. So I was really happy that I had chatted with them, and so it feels as though I think as many of us as can should show up for that conversation on the 14th and kind of encourage the city council to move forward with the resolution. But I felt really happy after having the conversation with them.
Will you remind me when that is?
What?
May 14th.
May
Oh, that's,
April
yeah, that's
time?
my calendar.
That's probably a Monday, isn't that
Is
usually
it
when they meet?
Tuesday?
No, it's
Actually,
always,
I
Tuesday.
think it was a Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
At least-
you've got your calendar right there.
I
Yeah.
think it is
It's Tuesday.
Tuesday,
It is a
but I was
Tuesday.
surprised.
It's Tuesday.
Do you remember, Lou, do you have a meeting on the 14th or is it on the 13th?
Or 15th.
I
Or
can-
15th?
I can just check the
Sorry,
schedule.
13th or 14th. Yeah, you're right.
Let's see.
I'll check my calendar.
There's a city council meeting planned for May 13th.
Maybe that was the one. Maybe I just messed up the date.
Yeah, I thought it was the city council.
Yeah.
So Monday, May 13th,
And what time is that?
6
6,
p.m.
either or B Square, here, actually.
Lou, do you know if you have a city council meeting on the 14th or the 13th of May?
City website.
It would be on our calendar if it's anywhere. I can look it up there.
I'll look at
Oh, it
Dylan's
was on
notes.
Monday.
Yeah, city council meeting, May 13th.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It may have been that I either read it incorrectly or Dylan typed the wrong.
Okay.
You couldn't have forgotten.
I have a conflict that night,
We can just pay attention to the calendar.
okay, but
I'll be there.
can you be there? Okay,
Yeah.
great, yeah,
And I'm gonna put it in my calendar and come if I can.
okay.
And
Yeah.
it's,
Great.
but it's like kind of 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just have to cancel something that day.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that, I've got another report, this is report from me night for sure. Thank you for taking the note.
That's what I offered. I looked at the agenda, it's like Greg.
Reports. So, I briefly talked about the waterfront development plans, and being on that working group. They're on this coming Saturday, at between 7 and 11. The planning department is making a presentation down at 4th and Volp Street,
Oh,
which is like down, like by the ponds.
yeah,
And they're gonna be basically kind of showing people plans, et cetera. So if you have a chance to go down there, between that period of those hours, go down and just kind of check it out. Because in terms of Goal 5, it is gonna potentially have a lot of Goal 5 impacts. And, so it would be good for us just to be informed about what is
can you
happening.
go?
Yeah, I'll go.
'Cause that's your name.
What,
That's my, yeah, so I'll be down there between 7 and 8, because I've got a bunch of other things happen. Well, the crest thing.
So it's
happened
7 in
later.
the morning?
7 to 11. Well, you don't, no, but you can go anytime between
Yeah,
7 and 11.
I'm out of town.
It's still early to start at 7.
I know.
It is a kind of an odd time,
5.
unless there are people that figure we're gonna go and do work crews or, other,
Yeah,
Earth Day events,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's
Earth Week
cool.
events,
That's
so-
nice to know about.
Yeah,
I would show up more like 10 or 11, but I'm
no,
out of town.
but you're out of that, no,
will you
no
say
problem.
again where that is and what?
4th and Volp Street, it's right down, do you know where the settling ponds are?
Yeah.
So it's right at the southeast corner of that.
It's the southernmost end of the redesign of the waterfront along there.
Right, yeah.
And then what are they going over exactly?
I missed the question.
What are they going over exactly? What is,
Oh, there is, has been the development of a plan over the last several years, which has, in the last several months, been refined more specifically. And it is looking at basically 3 different zones. One would be like an area by the old city hall that would be redeveloped to be more in kind of intensely urban
okay.
with different amenities there. There'd be a cultural zone that would be closer to the paper mill that exists right now.
Yeah, okay.
And there are plans, and there was an article in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago about the creation of an overlook center that would be tied into the Native American tribes that would provide information about the use of the fall by the tribes before Euro-Americans arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And then there would be the area like in the ponds, both with the settling ponds that are close to Volp Street and then the one that's beyond it.
Yeah.
Looking at turning those into a variety of different potential uses, some parkland, but Mr. Schwartz, who owns the settling ponds, is interested in, well, he's particularly interested in trying to create some kind of destination hotel resort
So
in that whole area.
are they no longer going to be settling ponds?
They would no longer be settling ponds because they're not being used.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, paper mill doesn't
But,
operate anymore.
but, I can send you, Mary Baumgartner, sent me like a website that provides information about the business that he's interested in potentially partnering with to develop that whole area. So you can take a look at that as well.
Mhm.
But Mary is particularly interested in the area that is to the north of the settling ponds, that a beaver dam has kind of created a lake now. A beaver has created a lake, leaving that as wetlands.
Yeah.
And apparently Mr. Schwartz is kind of amenable to that possibility.
Okay.
But I'll send you the information, but it's just good that the public be aware of it.
Yeah.
And you might let other people that you know about this particular event. So just something to have on our radar. So it looks like those are the reports. With regard to new business, when I talked with Mary this morning, she wondered where things stood with regard to her idea about potentially using worm bins to recycle food waste. And I couldn't find anything on OPP for that, but I did
I
find,
looked too. I could find nothing.
what I did find was a project that had happened in Connecticut back in the early 2000s, where people did a pilot project
Yeah.
that lasted for about 4 years, where they got different institutions that, had quite a bit of food waste and tried to process it using worms. And it actually worked pretty well. But when I looked at the website for that municipality in 2022, which was the most recent site that I could find from it, they said nothing about worm bins. But they had a pretty strong food waste recycling program going, but using it in more traditional ways. So I have a feeling that probably is not something really.
I was thinking
Likely
it's kind
to-
of a dead end
yeah,
on that
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Another thing that Mary raised a question about is just, kind of public education efforts that we could take with regard to the use of different pest control businesses like Axion. And she's just worried about like the amount of pesticides that are kind of being sprayed around town. And so it seems like it's potentially a question that we might want to take up and figure out how we might be able to kind of share just information about that. And also raising concerns about the city spraying without putting up signs. And I know I've seen signs in Willamette Park, but Mary had seen kind of a number of blackberry bushes down around Fields Bridge that looked as though they had been recently sprayed with no signs. And so that might be something that we would want to take on. And it seems like having some kinds of public education, either, trying to do some library events, but I've been talking with both Rory and Mary. They thought that one thing we could do is try to have some kind of regular space in the city's newsletter, The Owl. There's only been one issue of that so far, but Rory said that another one's going to come out in the next few weeks. I asked Dylan about the possibility of, I think we maybe did this at our last meeting, the possibility of having something in the online message board that goes out, and he said it normally is just filled with stuff that the city staff really needs to get out there, so he didn't think it would be reasonable to have something in that. But it seems like the Owl might be a possibility, and I think we could, all of us could probably write different articles for that, and just have a short article about different topics each time that issue comes out. So if you were amenable, I could approach John Williams and see like whether that might be a feature for future Owls after this next issue. And we could, have an article about pesticides.
Some kind, yeah.
Different kinds of topics that we could bring up. And certainly, kind of looking at the waste, the recycling of food waste would be, a topic that we could bring up. So if you're amenable to that, I can make that suggestion.
I am. I do want to say what I've been thinking is that in terms of the most effective thing I've seen yet was when my elementary age child came home with some stickers about what not to pour down the drain and why. Because of the fish, and children all over from that, probably not just that, at grade school, were putting stickers all over their parents' houses.
Yeah.
Right.
And they cared.
Kids
And
care.
when you're kids, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the best ways to reach households is through their children, which sounds subversive, but it is.
Well, and I think it's been known to work really successfully for a while. What we might want to think about doing is inviting somebody from eco-schools, either charity or somebody else, and we could invite Amy Higg, who kind of directs eco-schools, to come to one of our meetings and raise that question. Are there ways in which, without kind of dealing with like broad curricular changes, are there things that we could potentially do, like for the eco-school program, to try to find funding to print up stickers like this, or work with an organization that would be able to do that?
Or maybe Clackamas County
information.
has a bunch of stickers they just want to get people to use anyway.
Yeah. So I think
it'd be really
it's a
interesting to
conversation.
have someone from Eco Schools.
Yeah.
I know Terry's been involved, but just to know what are they doing and what is there anything else we could help with, and just the connection to schools. I think I actually thought about them today when I was at Rosemont and they had their no idling signs out.
Yeah, I just think that's so cool. It just went and did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they need them at all the schools
Right.
and the public parks and.
And I know we talked about with Charity, who was beginning to talk with the folks in the superintendent's office about trying to extend that. So let's check with her when we see her on Saturday and see like where that stands, or whether it's something that we could take on. So, we as a group could go and talk with the school superintendent and say, this is something we'd really like you to try to extend to all schools. And see whether that might go. But I think it's a wonderful project that I think kids can get behind. So good.
Send someone to speak to the school board.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, I volunteer you.
No.
I could do that.
I'm too cross with our school board.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Tell me about that later.
Right. So,
talk to them at all.
Is there anything else before new business that people would like to discuss?
One item, so for the, what is it called? Westland Old Time Fair?
Oh, that's right. I was gonna-
I spoke to the people who provide lawn care service for me. They do like all electric stuff.
Uh-huh.
They said they'd be willing to attend that and like demonstrate
Demonstrate
stuff.
stuff?
And yeah,
Fantastic. Great. Good. And I was gonna ask, like, who will be in town that day? I forgot to look up the date.
So,
Well,
probably like second weekend of July.
Yeah, I think second weekend in July.
I don't have plans to travel yet.
You don't,
not
yeah.
yet,
okay.
but if we get that now, then we won't start making plans to be gone then.
Right, so if you folks are available to volunteer for that,
the 12th to the
then we can just kind of share that.
12th to when?
12th to the 14th.
Okay, so we would be doing it on the 13th, July 13th on Saturday.
Why don't we be there more days than that?
Well, we could, it just means that we have to staff the table.
I know, but possible.
Are people willing to?
I had fun last summer.
It was fun.
I got to know a whole lot about you.
Yeah, I'd be fine Saturday, Sunday.
Okay,
I work
Yeah.
Friday, so
so
probably.
I'll send in an application for Saturday and Sunday. Let them know that we'll try to do both. And they generally like you to be there for the entire, like till 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah, but, and then I will get in touch with the bike company. We'll have the demonstrations of lawn equipment. And, if they were just able to come for a couple of hours, one or both of those days, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll just
That would be
see
great.
what they're up for.
Good.
good.
So,
Yeah, good.
any other issues kind of long-term that we might want to take a look at? Or anything from the city council that you think we ought to be taking a look at?
Got one other thing.
Yes.
The rec center, I noticed that the last Parks and Rec board meeting, that there was a presentation given to them about the status of the rec center, and that their conceptual planning is due to close not long from now.
Uh-huh.
At one point, John Williams said that whoever's doing the conceptual planning was intending to reach out to us, but never has. And I think it might be good to try to have a conversation with them in some regard. And like I went through their slide deck, and there's a kind of a like perfunctory like, we're planning to be sustainable, but like I didn't see any detail with regard to that.
Yeah, define that.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So would you be willing to get in touch with
Yeah,
whoever
sure.
it is? Yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. I just remember going to the design charrette for the two new elementary schools, like Trillium and then the one over in Wilsonville, before those buildings were constructed. And they had like students and parents and teachers at those design charrettes. And the kids had a huge impact upon those designs.
That's so fabulous.
Yeah, so like the colors, like you see, they look like blocks.
Yeah.
That was a kid's suggestion. And the slide, like from the second floor of the library down to the first floor, that was a kid's suggestion.
Was it really?
Yeah, and so
I'll
like,
tell my kids that. They'll get a kick out of that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I love that slide.
yeah, and so the fact that they were able to reach out to the community made a huge difference. And so I would urge you to do whatever you can.
And the first two things that occur to me are will there be pavers instead of asphalt?
Yeah.
And will the plantings be native plants?
I think that their conceptual design is supposed to wrap by the end of May. So potentially, if they're available, the May meeting could be a meeting that we invite them to.
Oh,
We
that
could
would
do
be
we
great.
get the energy department person, and then this design.
Yeah.
Not to mention solar panels and passive solar construction.
Right,
and
that's also the things they can do.
Yeah. And it
I mean,
also seems like,
they have had a couple of open houses that were well attended.
Good, yeah.
And, yeah, I'm sure they'd be responsive. In fact, I think they are visiting some of the schools, the high school I go.
oh, good.
Because they want student involvement as well.
Excellent. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But particularly for a recreation center, it seems really important. Do you know, Lou, whether they are considering making it like a climate resilience hub? Would it be the sort of thing where large groups of people could go in the case of an emergency? And
Yes,
would it be
that is one of the goals.
that is part of the
Oh,
plan?
that's great.
Good.
Yes.
Do you? I forget where it's going to be located.
I was just
Off
gonna
of Solomon.
Where-
Tanner
where-
Creek, it's just above Tanner Creek Park. Technically, it's not a part of the park, but it's adjacent to it. It's below the shopping center, the Safeway Shopping Center.
Oh, okay.
Is it the,
Big
Oh,
open
it's a
field
different
there.
location. I thought it was in
is it the open field where they park people for, where they park people for the, when they do music in the park?
That would be the entrance. The actual center would be a little further back, but yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah, it's basically just like the big open field at Tanner Creek Park, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's what it sounds.
Again,
No,
technically, it's not a part of the park.
Okay.
I know they
I
were
didn't realize that
considering a
was-
different
okay.
location earlier.
if you find it, show me.
Yeah, it's
That would be,
so I drop a pin. I don't know if they let you drop a pin anymore on the map, but just where my cursor is.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, great. So that would certainly be accessible easily to
Yeah.
all the people up in the hill. So
It's-
that's great.
It's what,
it's a
like
pretty,
over there. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's close, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're there.
yeah.
And Lou, do you
On
know
a clear
like
day, you
where,
can see Mount Hood.
uh-huh,
Good.
do you know, where other kind of public meetings might, where the dates for other public meetings might be listed? Is it up on the city website anywhere?
It should be, yeah. Yes.
Okay, so,
Anyway,
Good,
I don't
check.
know anything beyond that.
okay, good, so we could check that out. So rec center, and I think if they could come in, that would be great. Otherwise, I think if we could try to get to,
The next
some of
session.
those sessions, that would be great too.
I will. I'll watch that Parks and Rec meeting in full and see what I can learn about how to contact them.
Yeah, good, good.
Okay,
Any other topics or issues?
Your term is going to expire.
Oh, that's
in a
right,
couple
yes.
months, right?
Yeah. And so I let Dan know, and if we need somebody to take my place in terms of being the co-chair, because co-chairs can only be, officers can only be in their position for 2 years. And so in July, I will need to step down. I'm not leave the board, but just step down from being co-chair. And Mike will be, his term will be 1 more year. So yours is ending now too?
No, it's 6 months staggered.
Oh, it's only 6 months staggered.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I'm done. December would be my last meeting as co-chair. So we need new co-chairs.
yeah, new co-chairs, yeah, coming in.
3 of y'all.
Yeah.
And Dan said yes. Did he say yes?
Dan, I didn't ask
Okay.
yes or no, but we need, but you just need to be pondering that.
Well, one question I have is, like,
Yeah.
I'm not averse to continuing in the role, but I know that, like, the bylaws or however it's, set up in the city code
Yeah,
doesn't allow it, but I don't know if there's some way to, like, for council to authorize an exception. Like, my understanding is that the person who chairs the library board has been doing that for a decade or more.
wow.
do you know anything, Lou?
No, I'd have to check the code or basically talk to our city attorney.
Yeah, I talked with Dylan and he sent me the language from the code and it
Yeah.
specifically said 2 years.
Yep.
2-year terms, so
Does it say how long you have to be off before you can be back?
can be back on. I
I don't think it does.
I
I was
didn't
about to say,
see
I can
that
cover
yet.
for a month or two if you need someone to cover for a month or two. Right?
See what it says.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Especially in this,
yeah.
But I think
I'll run one meeting. I got one meeting in me.
Or 5 minutes.
speak my language.
Yeah.
it's not an impossible job by any means, and it is fun.
There's like a steep learning curve. I'm just like taking notes and there's a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Language, oh. Yeah,
But it might be worth, do you think it would be worth a question, Lou? Thinking about
Sure.
the person on the library board?
You didn't hear that from me.
Next they're gonna make that person change.
Right.
Doesn't
Yeah.
You
even-
want to
here's the
send an email to either John or the city attorney.
Sure.
Yeah.
thank you.
So the
Yeah.
language says each community advisory group shall elect a chair and a vice chair from its membership as soon as practicable each calendar year. Council members may not chair community advisory groups. Nothing in this subsection shall prevent the appointment of co-chairs that share responsibilities of the chair as the community advisory groups deem appropriate. No member shall serve more than 2 consecutive terms as either chair or co-chair.
Oh, terms.
So terms are 1 year, I believe.
Except for the fact
No.
we've been doing the 2 consecutive terms, because we've
Yeah.
doing it for 2 years, which
Right.
is like what Terry and Kim had done.
Yeah, which is why our terms are expiring.
Yeah.
My term was 4 years
For
for
the,
being on this,
yeah, for the advisory board, yeah.
being on the board.
Yeah.
I think the term as an officer may be different.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Probably something we can do offline as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can.
So we need to kind of work that through. So if you could check with the city attorney about like what kind of flexibility there is. And like, let's say, if somebody were to, let's say, be on for 6 months, you were willing to do that. If somebody who had already served could come on, I can't imagine them saying okay to a month, but, right. I suppose it's worth a try.
Wait, what if we could just say shorter term?
Shorter term, right.
We'll just say a month then.
But, you know, I suspect that the reason is that they wanted to kind of avoid somebody staying on a committee
Yeah.
long-term and just dominating it so much
Yeah.
that it
Like Judy-
became
like
problematic.
Judy Smith.
There's another open house for the rec center on May 23rd.
May 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'd recommend just somebody
Yeah.
attending that and asking their questions.
Yeah,
They've been very
good.
responsive to our questions.
So everything I'm seeing here in section 2 of the city code only defines terms in terms of the 4-year period that you're appointed for. So
Uh-huh.
theoretically, somebody could be a chairperson for 8 years,
Oh.
in my reading of this at least.
Uh-huh.
I think Kim had given me the impression that like chair terms are a year within the like 4-year like membership term.
Uh-huh.
But perhaps we can just get the city attorney to weigh in on this and
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So when you get an answer, Lou, just email it to us.
Okay,
Okay, and then we can, figure out how to move forward after that.
First time the language has been vague in terms of what's expected for
Yeah,
people
yeah.
to do.
yeah. And Dan didn't seem averse to becoming a co-chair, but I'd forgotten that Mike was gonna have to step off in
Sooner.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe you won't have to.
Any other issues that you think we ought to be kind of looking at?
I feel like we have a lot of current stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of current stuff that's happening.
If, looking at the resolution for electrical powered appliances and all of that, and the desire to have that in the community garden,
Uh-huh.
does anybody have any idea where I should start with finding out about getting electricity from the city to that shed?
The only thing I
Eric?
can think of is talking with Eric Lays and just
Okay.
kind of see like what makes most sense. Lou, one of the things that Victoria has been dealing with is their desire to actually use electrical, basically,
Appliances.
equipment
Lawn mowers, yeah.
in the community garden, but there is no electricity in it out there yet. And they would like to be able to get some kind of electrical service to the shed that's in, out at Fields Bridge. And Victoria is uncertain about who at the city to actually speak with about getting something like that installed.
Yeah, is that part of the
And
rec?
so I was thinking
Okay.
Eric, as Public Works person, was the best person, but would there be anybody else?
I would think the Parks Department would really has
Oh, Parks.
responsibility.
So,
Talk to Macon, Big John.
oh, Megan, all right, I'll talk to
Yeah.
Megan. Because I haven't spoken with her yet.
Yeah, and she's very helpful.
Right now,
And
Jen-
does get back to you.
Jen,
so.
yeah, all right.
Great, that's good. There's one question that has been in my mind, after having kind of read some articles about light pollution and the way that there are a number of communities that are doing whatever they can to reduce the amount of light that's produced, either in people's yards or just, you know, in public places by putting baffles on the public lights, et cetera, in an effort to protect bird life, because like a lot of birds are disoriented by the amount of light in urban areas. And then also wildlife is really seriously impacted. And
It's
so
also nice to see stars at night.
well, yes, you can see
God.
stars as well.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be,
right.
that would be so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and so I wondered whether that might be something worth just kind of checking out and seeing like what other communities are doing, and seeing like whether there are ways in which we could, you know, try to be like one of the places that is kind of intentionally trying to reduce
Yeah.
urban light
And I'd want to understand more about like how people balance the reduced light with like
with
the
safety. Yeah, and I think that that's where the baffles come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of it is just making sure that lights are not directed up when
Yeah,
they have to
okay,
be.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Coming from my neighbor's house directly into my bedroom.
right, right.
So,
But encouraging people to, again, like in their own yards,
Yeah.
be thoughtful about like where they're placing their lights. I know two of my neighbors have kind of lights around their entire houses that are, you know, oftentimes on, particularly during the summertime when people are out entertaining, but then they, you know, they forget them and leave them on all night long. And it's you know, both a waste of electricity, but also, I'm sure it's disorienting for the raccoons and possums and et cetera. So it was just, you know, an idea about something that
Yeah.
we could potentially take on.
Well, sabotage, you just go over and unscrew the bulb.
Right. You do that.
Once. I did that once.
Right. Very good. How long did it last?
It worked.
It worked. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
They-
So, think about that as whether it's something you might want to take on in the future.
I would definitely be interested.
Yeah, that,
And then I guess just continuing to wonder about neighborhood resilience. I read, like there was a New York Times op-ed last week about, you know, helping communities to prepare for the consequences of climate change, recognizing that the heat and the wild weather is not going to change anytime soon. And that communities really need to be kind of recognizing that stuff that we've expected is not going to continue as it has. And so it's,
okay.
that's a heavy duty one, but it just seems like, that's why it's nice to know that the community, the rec center is going to
Yeah.
potentially be able to kind of serve as a kind of resilience hub. But I think that's one we've gotta take on.
You're right.
So 7:21, anything else?
No.
Sounds like I have
Okay,
anything else.
do you have action items?
Yeah, let's take a look through what we have here.
No, those are ARs.
Yeah, so now I can just search here for AR. So I'm gonna reach out to the design firm for the rec center.
Great.
We, as a group, want to draft a list of concerns with respect to the banning or limiting of gas leaf blowers, so we can pass that off to council for their consideration. Greg, you're going to send a flyer file to Kate and me. Kate, you're going to get your little camping table to Victoria.
Take it down directly.
Kate's going to
I
reach
can
out
take it to you.
to the transportation board.
Give me my address.
Yes, we'll do that when we're done. I can cover it from you.
And those are the ones specifically.
I'll probably do it
that
this
I have.
weekend.
And then I'm going to
No.
attend the May 13th council meeting, and anyone else is welcome to join.
And maybe the only other thing is that we'll try to get, somebody from the group will try to get to the recreation center.
The May
Presentation.
23rd meeting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll try to get to that one too.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. It feels as though some things are happening.
Yeah.
So that's great. And you're a delight to work with. So it's really fun to come to these meetings.
Yeah, I like it.
So, nothing else to say? at 7:22, we will adjourn, or 7:23, really. Thank you for coming, Lou.
Thanks, Lou.
Always good to see you.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Do you want
Have
to
a
hit
good one.
stop?
Yep.
Stop record?
Where is it? Not this.
I would hit that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, hit that one.
Okay. Pause.
Great.